Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And today we're featuring an enrollment guide blog post, a brand new post about TriPoint Academy. And today we're talking with Megan Correia, who's the founder and school director of TriPoint Academy. She's also the director of academics at School Innovation Collaborative. So Megan, I'm so glad that you could join me. I really enjoyed talking with you back in May as you were getting the school up and running, and now you guys are open.
We're open.
That's so exciting. So can you tell me about the mission and vision of TriPoint Academy?
Sure. So TriPoint Academy provides opportunities for students to understand how the world around them is interconnected, as well as how they have an impact on the world around them. We do this by providing rigorous interdisciplinary academic focus, which integrates our science, technology, but also the natural world exploration through critical thinking, change, and connections. Our mission encourages personal and academic excellence, provides intellectual, creative, and artistic challenges, optimize the students' potential to be citizens who contribute in a significant way to the school community and the world beyond.
That's great. I know that's I know we're going to break that into more pieces. But I'm so excited about, like, this is a really unique school in San Antonio, and I know that it's based on your own experiences as a parent and an educator and a leader working in other settings. And actually, I'm just going to mention, if folks go to the link in the description of the video, that will take them to the enrollment guide blog post. But if you scroll to the bottom, is kind of the bibliography, and then you'll read. Megan wrote kind of a Teacher Tales post back in the spring about her philosophy and things like that. So if you want to, read deeper about, anyway. So, but my next question is about your background and stuff. But I want folks to know that they can read that on the website too and dig a little deeper. But I just think the TriPoint is such an interesting school, and it really grew out of your experiences.
Yes. I have 3 different kiddos myself. I've taught in a variety of settings across numerous states. I think one thing that stood out to me across all those contexts was that students just learn differently. There's no kiddo that learns the same as all the other kiddos. So what works for one isn't going to work for all. So I sought to cultivate an environment where students can learn to advocate for themselves as learners and be able to reach that full potential. One way we do that, for example, is just focusing on the development of executive functioning skills so that students have the tools to be prepared for learning, as well as articulate what it means for them to be successful. We seek feedback from our students on what works and how to improve. So it's a really collaborative relationship, not just among our students, but also with our staff.
Yeah, I know what you mean about each kid being unique. I have 2 kids; they're very different from each other, and they require different parenting strategies. And they are at the same school, but they're able to, like, choose different electives and different clubs, and they have different circles of friends. And it's just so important to recognize each kid's uniqueness. I feel like I bang that drum a lot at SA Charter Moms, but it's a big part of what I believe in. Like, why we need school choice is because kids are so unique, and different school models will serve different kids. And I think TriPoint is especially designed to serve those kids who maybe haven't found their home at a different school. Yeah. So I want to make sure we cover the academics, because this is the enrollment guide. We want parents to be equipped with knowing what to expect, and make sure, like, so how are kids going to be challenged? How do they? Sometimes with kids who are really curious, you almost have to, like, have them teach themselves sometimes, right?
Yep. One thing, we definitely recognize that every kiddo does learn differently, and we challenge them to take ownership of their learning and take it, where they want to go. Our robust curriculum allows students to learn essential skills with exposure to the real world issues, while thinking innovatively and creatively for solutions with their peers. So it's not just alone. We take better together. We do use Kaplan's framework for depth and complexity, which incorporates global themes and generalizations. So they're open-ended, they're abstract, and through these learning experiences, students prove or disprove general statements by gathering evidence, and it goes on for a quarter. So it's across disciplines, looking for global patterns. Right now, they are working on change is necessary for growth. Had that backwards. So it's very open-ended thinking, and they can kind of take that complexity where it fits them. and that prepares them, for that high-tech, fast-paced future. They are integrated through all content. So we're not just looking at that in reading, we're looking at that in math, we're looking at it in science, and they're constantly being reminded that they're gathering evidence to seek, does growth happen through change? And it's not just, although it is aligned to the TEKS, it's much more than that. We're looking and using the TEKS to kind of look at that bigger generalization through life.
Yeah, the TEKS is. I encourage families go look at it. It's so interesting, but it's it is very much broken down by subject, and that's typically how schools are run. But by having this interdisciplinary approach, right, you can show how things are connected, and and like you said, it's especially for those students who are really curious, and you want them to get excited and motivate themselves with their learning, and so combining different subjects and not having everything divided up, that's a great way to reach kids.
And it connects them, right? So we were talking about that in math, but now we're talking about it in science, and it kind of then it all fits together, and it's that interconnectedness where it makes more sense to them on the why we're learning these things. It's, yes, we're learning because we need to learn to read and we need to learn the science standards, but they're also learning the bigger pictures, right? And their growth is necessary for change. So it crosses, and they get really excited when they see, oh, we were talking about that, and it makes sense over here. And so throughout the day, that's what we're seeing, these excitement moments where they're starting to see that their science is connected to their math and their reading, because we're looking at a bigger picture than just the context of what we're teaching today. We're looking at how are we thinking, and how do we think about things, rather than just this is what we're thinking about in the end.
Yeah, and the kids who ask why a lot, and sometimes in a typical school environment, those kids can feel frustrated. Like they can feel, well, I want to talk about this. Why are we still talking about that? Or and it can. I've talked to families. I've seen kids. Where it's almost like they shut down, and you're not seeing them fulfill their potential because the environment is so anathema to how their brain works, and so. I think that's that's what's so different. What you're trying to achieve is give them this intellectual freedom where they can ask lots of questions, they can ask why, and they can have those aha moments, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure we cover some of the basic facts about TriPoint, because I know this is such a new school, and I'm really excited to get the word out and share about it in the Charter Moms discussion groups. This is my chance to plug that. So anybody who's on Facebook, search for our discussion group, San Antonio Charter Moms discussion. There's we've been talking about TriPoint a lot over the summer. But what are some so where's the campus located?
Yes. So we are a microschool, which is similar to the idea of a one-room schoolhouse where students work collaboratively in clusters throughout the day to engage in their learning. So because we're small, we are co-locating this year in the Compass Rose Dreams location, which is a beautiful new learning space. We have 2 collaborative learning spaces and 3 classrooms. So we do utilize our own section of the building. It is by 410 and 10 by the blood bank. Most families know where Dave and Buster's are. That's where the kids know. So we're very close to that.
Yeah. And and what grade levels are currently being served at TriPoint?
This year we are serving grades 3-8.
Okay. And I know, so the enrollment guide is kind of geared towards the current school year, right? Because y'all are still enrolling for the current school year. And then I know we'll connect again later when y'all are starting to enroll for the next school year. But I'm asking a question I don't know the answer to yet, but is it the plan to stay at through 8th, or is it okay, so there's a growth plan? Okay.
Our plan is next year to add K2 and then loop up for 9th. The long-term plan is a pre-K through 12 system. We decided to start with the 3-8 because that's where we felt that need really was for those students. That's where there was a lot of frustration. We want to harbor that love of learning. So we started in the middle grades, and then we'll work outwards.
Yeah. Well, that's what I know from talking to parents. There's certain key decision points where, right, families looking at pre-K and kindergarten are doing research. There's also kind of a moment of kind of mid-elementary where sometimes parents get a feeling of something's not working right. This isn't, the spark is missing. My kid doesn't feel like they belong in this learning environment. And I get the sense those are the students you are really, really wanting to serve. Is something doesn't feel right and they need a different setting. And a microschool is something that's radically different than a big traditional public school.
Yes, and those are the students that we are finding. So we've been very blessed with students that are seeking something different. It just wasn't working for them, and that's fine. That's the beauty of school choice. And so we've been able to foster a different environment for them.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I remember some of my first questions to you was like, wait, what is TriPoint? Like, is it part of a district? Is it part of a charter network and stuff? And then finally I figured out, like, oh, it's a partnership school, right? So can you explain a little bit more about that? Because it is a public school. There's no tuition, right? And it's open to across, right? There's no like enrollment zone, or it's very broad, right?
So a partnership school is similar to a regular charter school, but it is a district authorized rather than a state authorized school. So it does increase the opportunities for families and for impact of different education experiences.
Yeah. Okay. So the key thing is it is a public school.
It's public and it's free.
Yeah. Yes, and it's an open enrollment school. So families from a wide area, right? And the location by I-10 and 410 is really accessible to a lot of families in San Antonio.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, okay, that covers some of those basic facts, and and that's exciting about the growth plans, right? So if a family has a very young kid and they're hearing about this, that's like, hey, stay tuned. There will be K through 2 next year. So plan ahead. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask. We talked about academics. Can you talk more about the school culture that you're hoping to cultivate? And I know that like the drawing behind you is part of this, right? Of like, right? Like whenever,
it's here.
Whenever a new school forms, it always takes on the personality of those founding teachers and stuff.
Yes. So there's 3 things that we do. One, we're really small, so we're really focused on more of a family, and it's things that you'll hear our students even saying, like, and it authentically happened, where we're brothers and we're sisters and we're family members. So we have our innovations block, which is our arts and creative processes. The students kind of choose their different mediums to kind of extend their learning. So they're looking and learning creative processes, but that overlaps, and they can kind of take it into whatever fine arts looks like for them. You've got hands-on, which is your pottery, your drawing. It can be theater. It can be journalism. So however they want to express their learning in a creative way, we have that during our innovations block. Every day we have a seeds time as well, which is collaboration, exploration, expert-driven service. And this is really where we push that academic, authentic learning experiences. This is where those whys come to life. So it's not something I can tell you what projects we're doing this year, right? Because it does develop authentically from the kids and based on their interest and the curiosity in the content. And the teachers start kind of pushing the why back on them, and then that engages into the research, and it kind of spirals there. But that happens on a daily basis, and it does end up resulting in a service learning. So they are connecting with experts in the field. They are pushing that learning beyond just the why in the classroom, where we can Google an answer, but it's deeper and looking at, well, what does that look like out in the real world, and connecting with the experts, and then giving back to the community. And then we do our after school program, is we call it Wings. It's Weaving Interests of Next Gen Scholars. And he's phenomenal, who takes it even further. It starts with small group academic support right after school, then student driven interest projects, and then they end with PE or sports at the end of the day. So it does still connect to the content of what they're learning, but they don't realize it, because they just start kind of talking and then like get excited. And it's more casual PBL, so to speak.
PBL being project-based learning.
Project-based learning, yes.
Right. But this all ties in with the idea of being really responsive to what the students' interests are, and it's like the school leader always on call, right?
Sorry, there's a parent.
Yeah. No, that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch on some of the things in the blog post. So so one of the cool things I've seen, you shared pictures of going to Bamberger Ranch,
yes.
Which is up in the Johnson City area, right? And so, and this is great because like I mean, people who follow me on social media know I'm always out going hiking. I'm on the Greenway trails. I'm taking my kids to different parks, and there's like a new park that just opened on the Medina River, and I can't wait to go. And so we're always, because like we just need a contrast, because like our daily lives are so much into technology. But you need to recenter yourself as a human being, and and be out in nature. So what benefits do you see from the students being able to experience Bamberger Ranch, and like how does that partnership work?
So we sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Yeah, and Also, I'm also going to ask Megan about the service learning aspect too. Yeah. Go ahead. No, it's like you're a working school leader. You wear a lot of hats.
We'll start with the partnership of Bamberger Ranch. We've been taking our fifth graders up to Bamberger Ranch for about 6 years on a 3-day, 2-night trip. The beauty of our partnership being so ongoing is we've been able to expand it this year. So our students will go up for 2-day trips in the fall, our traditional 3-day, 2-night trip in January, and then our students will get to go to their summer camp at no cost in June, which is week-long camps. So all of our kiddos will get to go. Not mandatory, but it is an option. What we've realized is the kiddos, it's a totally different classroom, right? It's a totally different learning environment, and it's real. So we're learning all these things at school. We learn science, we learn social studies, but it's such a beautiful space. It's 5,520 acres. And so the students have this beautiful landscape that we get to go explore and really get to see the things that we're teaching in the classroom. So it becomes real, and that makes a big impact on their engagement. So we've always taken kids up there, and then they come back and they don't want to be in the walls anymore. So we were really committed to how do we continuously go outside and get back into nature, where that's where it seems that the learning is just clicking for kids. So we also do the Picture Your World. We're an EcoRise school. So we do get our funding for a lot of our projects from EcoRise by connecting them to the sustainable goals. And so a lot of nature-based and really just connecting everything that they're learning in the walls of a classroom with what's happening outside, and then getting them outside of the school to see those things, actually in real life.
Yeah, I know that's something a lot of parents are looking for. It's like having the nature learning aspect, because it's so good for kids, and it makes it so much more real. Yeah. Oh, and then while you got called away, just a second, what popped in my head was about the service learning aspect. So can you talk more about that?
So a lot of the time we connect with experts throughout their seeds, right? So it starts with the kids asking why and really wanting to explore deeper. So we dive deeper with them. They're researching, and then it's, what impact are you going to have? Bamberger has given us a beautiful opportunity. So for example, we will be giving back to Bamberger, and that will come authentically from the kids as they're learning. What is a way that you want to give back to the ranch for all that it has given you? And there are times when it's just the experts that we are working with that are connecting with kids, that there is an output of their project. So they might create models, but there does need to be some sort of impact that they have, whether it's on our school community, whether it's on our local community. We want them to see that even a little bit of a difference makes a big change. And that's kind of our theme this year is change. So, even if you plant a few trees up at Bamberger, right, that has a long-term impact on the ranch itself. So, and that was just an example that we talked about might become of students, right? We will not make those decisions for them. So those are ideas that the ranch will say, hey, these are some of the things that we need help with. And then they will teach them, about cultivating trees or deeper thing, whatever they take it. There will be the why behind it and the science of how and what they're doing rather than just doing.
Right. Yeah. Because you're respecting the free will of the students, and that's how this partnership works, right? It's like getting them to speak up, getting them to express their interest, and then like you talked about, like in the fine arts, you're not making everybody use the same medium. They can take their interests and see where it wants to go. The challenge of that is having teachers who can support and follow go along with where the students want to go. That takes an extraordinary team.
Yes, and being very, very flexible. We brainstorm to be as prepared as we can, but we won't, if a kiddo has this really amazing idea that they're passionate about, we're going to support them. So it's being able to shift and adjust on our feet pretty quickly to meet those needs of those kids.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask, I want to encourage everybody to, if you're curious about TriPoint, definitely follow them on Facebook, because you guys have been sharing all summer about these amazing events that you've had. And so I was wondering if you could talk more about what are some of these events that you had over the summer?
So we run on a 2-10 calendar, and the building was not ready. So our first 2 weeks of school were half days outside. And yes, all 110-degree weather, almost every single day. We had 30 students consistently attend camp, right? So there was more at times, but 30 consistently attending camp, despite the hottest days of the summer. On Thursdays, we went up to Friedrich Park, which allowed us to really have deep conversations about biodiversity. So we're here at a park in the city. We're up at Friedrich, which is beautiful landscape, and then now we're in a school building, right? So we've already built some shared experiences that our students were able to bond over. And what was really exciting about what happened at camp was we started school in a brand new building with everyone already having close friends. So they kind of just dove right in, and the first few days of school didn't really feel like the first few days of school. There wasn't, they were all connected and taking leadership roles and supporting each other on day one. And they did not feel that camp was school, which was even better for us because we did do learning. And that was a really unique opportunity for us that we were kind of forced into. Rather than, delaying everything, it allowed us to kind of shift and say, this is what we do. And so we had camp Monday through Friday, 8 to 12, outside every single day. So it kind of bonded the kiddos, right? It was definitely hot. We went through lots of popsicles and water, but they had this shared experience that they brought to the school. So the relationships are already there, and the teamwork is already there. So we were really intentional in what we did during summer camp to make sure that they saw how we operate as a school when we got into a building.
Yeah, that's so important. I've watched multiple schools launch, and I think one of the hardest things is to sort of plant the seed that forms that school culture. And it sounds like you created an environment and a set of circumstances that really lended itself to that, to the relationships forming among the students, and then spending so much time outside, even when the weather is not ideal, but that will always be a memorable experience for them.
Yeah, it was really great. Now, is this something we continue to do? With conversation we have, and that those are decisions, students and families will help make. Is that something that we want to continue, or is there something different we want to do? But it was a really positive way to launch a school. It didn't feel like our first time together, so it was really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, we've covered all the substance questions that I wanted to ask. I just want to encourage everybody, click through the description in the video has a link to the blog post. That has a link to the website, but we're gonna put the links up on the screen so that folks can know how to get in touch with you, how they can enroll their kids, how they can get more information. Let's see. So I guess a good starting point is the school website, right? So what can people find there?
Yep. On the website, you'll find lots of information. You'll see lots of pictures. The videos are in and out, so I do need to update them again. But there were videos from our summer camp. There are pictures. There's a contact us form if you just want us to connect with you to learn more information. Then there also is the link. It says enroll here. That brings you right to the actual registration hub.
Yeah. Okay. Then for anyone who's just listening on the podcast, it's TriPoint Academy Schools.org. That's the website. And I encourage folks also to, visit on social media because there's tons of photos there. So that's facebook.com/TriPoint Academy. And then there's other ways that folks can reach you, right? So let's see, can I put I'll put your email address on the screen. Okay. So it's Megan@TriPointAcademySchools.org.
Yes, ma'am. And you can also message on the Facebook page. And then we have a phone number, 210-338-0221. All of it goes to my cell phone. So it is all the same exact way you are going to connect directly with me.
Yep. And so for the current school year, right, so 2023-24, that is 3rd through 8th grade. And you have openings in all those grade levels in the short run?
In the short run.
Okay.
Our 6 through 8 is almost capped. There are very limited spots left, but we do have room in our 3-5 cluster. The other thing I want to note is that if you have K2 students, please, and are interested for next year, please fill out the request for more information, because we are seeking to make sure and prove that there is a need there. That's just how it goes. So please, if you're interested, even for the future, please fill out that form. I'll connect with you at a time that is convenient for you. But even if it's not for this year, please feel free to reach out just so that we can make sure that we're making decisions that are in the best interest of students.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it's great that ever since we talked in the spring, like you've had this interest list building so you could communicate with families, and the idea, yeah, that in 2024, 25, which still feels weird to say, but that's the time frame when the K through 2 grades would come. So right, so any families who have like a pre-K, kinder, first grader now, they can get on the interest list and they'll get the updates so they can get enrolled for 2024.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. And I already have it on the calendar to check back with you later in the school year so that, when it's, time to do, full on open enrollment for next year, that we'll get all the details to the Charter Moms community.
Yes, we are very excited. We can't wait to add K2, right? They bring a whole different joy to the campus, lots of excitement. We are ready. Space was limited at this time. So we were a little limited, but we can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like a great experience for the students who have already become part of TriPoint Academy, and they're bonding, and they're getting to do amazing art projects with the teacher who drew,
Yes.
what's behind you. Yeah, and getting to spend time outside, getting to like visit Bamberger Ranch, and yeah, it just sounds amazing.
Yes, please continue to watch our journey. We go to Bamberger in a few weeks, so we're very excited. So just a few more weeks of prepping them, and we'll be back out in nature. We are ready. It's a big adjustment to be outside and then back in a building even for 3 weeks. So we are ready and excited to get back outside.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, well, Megan, it's been great talking with you about TriPoint Academy, and I look forward to getting more updates.
Awesome. Thanks, Inga.
All right, take care.